So when I sent this notice about the service, I knew I was going to come here no matter what. I didn't care if it was rain, I didn't care what sort of things went my way. Tomorrow I'm taking my license exam, and I've been freaking out about not studying enough. It's really important to me, but I couldn't think about not being here. I didn't care about the rain, I didn't care about what it was going to do to me, because the Sunshine family is my family. I don't think of them as neighbors, I don't think of them anything but my family. I sent David and Lisa and Annie a copy of what I'm going to say today, and I felt it wasn't from the heart. It wasn't who I truly am, what I truly felt about the family. Growing up, I grew up 3 or 4 houses away from the Sunshines. Before I was born, I had a connection with the Sunshines. That's funny to say, but I did. My brother and David were really great friends. Even from the age of 2 years old, they would do everything together. They were inseparable. And as soon as I was born, David would come over there, and we have home movies of David actually trying to bully me and push me around as a kid. I still liked him anyhow, but and as soon as I was old enough to recognize there was a cute little girl down the street named Lisa, I instantly developed a crush on her. And every time I'd walk up the street, and I would go there and try to see if I could walk down to school with Lisa. And that was in our first house. And we have home movies, I didn't tell you, of me and you walking down the street. And I was holding your hands, and as a kid, as an adult, you get kind of embarrassed by this thing, but as a kid, I knew no difference. And having a crush with Lisa changed my connections with the Sunshines. They weren't jealous or anything. They weren't worried that I was going to do anything. But I would end up showing up at their house every time I had no place else to go. And one of the things I did write in there was, and the thing I said is, I was always welcome there. No matter what reason I had to come over there. And I had a lot of reasons to come over there besides Lisa. Lisa was the main reason, but besides Lisa, I had a lot of reasons to go over there. And the main reason I had to go over there is because my parents were workaholics. And they would never, ever be home for me. And I felt like a latchkey kid. And I was scared to be at home by myself. And so there'd be plenty of times where I knew that Lisa had after-school activities and all that stuff. And I would knock at the door right after school. And Mrs. Sunshine, and I always think of her as Mrs. Sunshine because I had so much respect and admiration for her. I would never think of her as Pat or as Mr. Sunshine as Ralph, because I loved them so much as parent figures. They were my parents. And when I came into their house, Mrs. Sunshine would have me sit down at the table with her. And she would keep me company. I'd keep her company while she would cut out green chip stamps, was it what it? And put it into the book. And hours and hours and hours, I would sit there, and all what she'd do was talking about all the knickknacks she had all over the place, which I cared nothing about. But she had so many knickknacks, and she wouldn't throw away anything. And she would spend hours and hours just looking down there, paging things up, and talking to me, and talking to me, and talking to me. And I wouldn't move an inch because I felt contained. I felt that somebody wanted to be with me, and it was great. And then when Mr. Sunshine came home, the first thing he would do would greet me with a smile and give me a handshake. He would always shake my hand and greet me with a smile, no matter what the circumstances was. And his smile made me feel like I was wanted, and I was welcome. And that's the greatest thing about him, was no matter who came to the door, he smiled at you. And it didn't care if it was a salesman, I don't care if it was insurance agent, he would smile at you. And he would look at anyone, and he had no judgment about who somebody was. He would treat everyone the same. And I remember the point when we were at home, and at his house, I call home, I called my home, because it was my home. My second home, or my first home, because I was spending more time there than was my own home. But I remember we were there, and he would invite me into the TV room. And David said he never did this with him, but he'd invite me to the TV room, and we would sit down in the back behind the kitchen and watch the news. And he didn't treat me like a 7 or 8-year-old. He treated me like an adult. He treated me like a peer. He would explain to me why he thought that news wasn't right or why I was right. He would give me his opinions, and he treated me like a person. And I never had an adult who treated me like a person. And that was the first time I realized that I had the right to act like a person, and I have rights. And he taught me so much about that. He told me so much about who I am by the way he treated me. And Mrs. Sunshine always taught me that you always have a home, that you're always welcomed at your home. She would feed me snacks. She would take care of me. She would nurture me. She would tell me to come by anytime I felt upset, that I can come up and I'm taken care of. And to me, when I got into college and all the kids were out of the home except for Annie, I would still stop by. And I would still talk to them because I was part of their family and they welcomed me. And Mr. Sunshine would spend an hour with me, showing him his collections, showing what he likes. He would talk to me. Mrs. Sunshine would have me help her bring down the knickknacks, and she would dust them off and put it back together. And she was afraid if people would move the knickknacks someplace different than they were otherwise. And she'd get mad if somebody did that. And if something was broken or missing, sometimes she would blame me for doing it, but I didn't worry about it. But I had to visit them. It was my home. It was my family. It was people who I loved. Then, later on, when Mrs. Sunshine started to develop some problems, I had to see them. I had to see them. I had to be there with them. I had to give them support and give them love, because they're my parents. They're the people who I love. They're the people who mean so much to me. So I'd stop by at least once a month and check in on them. And then I would call up David and I would say, you know, I don't think they're doing too good and doing that. And then when it became noticeable, I really wanted to contact David to see what I can do to be there for them. And I talked to Lisa and Annie all together, because it wasn't anything more than being an expert, but I wanted to help because I was part of their family. It didn't make a difference if they took my help or didn't take my help. I didn't care. But I loved them so much, and I loved the family so much, that I had to be there for them. And later on, after Mrs. Sunshine passed on, I would go visit Mr. Sunshine, and I would check in to see how he's doing. And I would talk to him until at the point where he didn't want to talk anymore. And I could tell what it is. But just to feel like I'm still connected to him some way meant so much to me, and I loved it. And it meant as much to me as it did to him. And I wouldn't have done it any other way, and I'm so glad I had that connection. I'm so glad that Mr. and Mrs. Sunshine was my life, and that they were my parents, and that I had the family of David, Annie, and Lisa to be part of my family. So thank you.